Good day, fellow Selbornians. There is an initiative that the Selborne College Fitness Centre has put forward, and we are going to be putting together a 4-part mini-series on aspects contributing to the well-being of you guys, Selbornians. And the 4 topics that are going to be covered in this 4-part mini-series will be as follows: recovery, diet, flexibility and agility, sleep. If these videos do well, then what myself and Mr. Durant will do is we'll have a live Q&A session somewhere in the near future. So any feedback regarding these videos will be appreciated, and then we can take it from there. So today, the most important thing that you'll hear is quite simple. Exercise is bad for you. What we're going to be touching on today is recovery. All right. Certain aspects around recovery, how we can apply it to our life, the makeup of recovery and how we can do that better. The layman's definition of recovery is as follows: returning to a normal state after stress. So no matter what you do, you're putting your body under stress. All right. If you're doing any sort of physical bout of exercise, even if you're sitting in front of a book and you're learning, doing homework, doing an assignment, your brain requires energy to work. So recovery is incredibly important, all right? And your body is fighting to stay in that normal state, all right, the entire time. Okay, so your body, if you do exercise, your body sees that as an attack. And you are constantly trying to get into a state of homeostasis. All right, so a couple of you life science students would know what that means, or at least you should. And homeostasis is quite simply defined as activities in aid of returning the body's physiological systems to normal or to a balance. So your body is constantly fighting. If you're doing physical exercise, your muscles are physically breaking down. All right. If you're sitting in front of a laptop and you're learning, you're online, you're doing homework, you're doing an assignment, your brain requires glycogen to stay focused, and it is constantly burning up. What are you doing to recover? So the various aspects of recovery are quite simple as well. 5 aspects, and we won't dive too much into it. Diet, 1. What are you eating? What are you putting into your body? All right. 2, sleep. How much sleep are you getting? How good is the sleep that you're getting? All right. 3, stretching. Okay, so stretching is important, and Mr. Durant will touch on the flexibility and agility. But for you to move around and to ensure that blood is still flowing through the muscles during this time is incredibly important. All right. So stretching. Soft tissue manipulation. So with soft tissue manipulation, get mom or dad, sister, brother, it doesn't matter who it is, get them to get some sort of a soft gel, a Vaseline, whatever the case may be, and get them to massage you. Quite simple. Hydration levels. How much water are you drinking? So, I mean, people touch on it, that you should be drinking 2 to 3 liters of water a day. How much are you drinking? What happens if you don't drink enough water? All right. So the one thing that we'll touch on today, from a recovery perspective, is the golden hour. So a lot of you would have heard of this before, might not know what it is, might know what it is. For those of you that don't, the golden hour quite simply is the body has optimal period where it absorbs nutrients and restores fuel levels that have been depleted, i.e. your glucose is easier absorbed into the liver and stored as glycogen. All right. So the golden hour is quite simple. You have 60 minutes after your first set of sitting in front of a science textbook and study. All right. What are you doing in those 15 minutes to ensure that you recover and are able to study for another 45 or 50 minutes? And then obviously the more obvious example would be if you do a bout of exercise, and it can be any sort of bout of exercise, what are you doing in that 1 hour to recover as best as you can? All right. So when it comes to the recovery, it's a quite simple. You do not need supplements. All right. Generally, what we work on from a recovery perspective is a 4:1 ratio carbohydrates to protein. So whatever meal you're taking in after your bout of exercise, make sure that it has 4 times the amount of carbohydrates than protein. All right. The glucose that you take in, so glucose is what it turns into, glycogen is how it gets stored, glucose is what it turns into in its simplest form in the body. Glucose allows more protein to be absorbed in the body, which is what you want because protein fixes your muscles. Okay. There's a challenge. There's been a lot of challenges going around, Selbornians. This is a simple challenge. You don't have to record it. You don't have to do anything. But I, along with Mr. Durant, would appreciate some sort of a feedback. All right. So all of us at Selborne are on different levels when it comes to our physical appearance. But we can still apply this golden hour as best as possible in our everyday lives. So when it comes to the golden hour, it's so important, no matter where you are in your level of physical ability, whether you're a beginner or an advanced athlete at Selborne College, the challenge for you is whether you do 4 sets of, let's say, 10 to 15 push-ups, 10 to 15 sit-ups, and you hold 4 sets of 1 minute plank. You could easily just have a glass of water, sprinkle some Himalayan salt into it, okay, give it a good stir. This enables your electrolyte levels to be replenished a lot quicker, and then that obviously helps for your body to return to homeostasis a lot quicker. If you're slightly more of an advanced athlete, then you keep your protein quite clean with something like a white meat. So white meat, very, very low in fat, and red meat, slightly higher in fat, but would probably aid in the recovery process a lot quicker. That's obviously where your protein shakes come into play as well. So when buying protein shakes for the purpose of recovery, try and find a protein shake that has a carbohydrate to protein level 4:1. So for example, you want a protein shake where it has 80 grams of carbs and 20 grams of protein. I hope this has helped. All the best, guys. Cheers.